pursue productive lives, but by reaching out to others. Sean Friedkin definitely fits into the second category. In fact, he is the prototype for it. In 1992, Sean was involved in a rollover accident that left him paralyzed from the chest down. As he began to rebuild his life, he became aware of the fact that few resources existed for people in his situation, so he decided to take action himself. Sean founded Stand Among Friends, a Boca Raton-based nonprofit organization that has become a valuable resource center. One of its most important functions is to help people with disabilities prepare for, find, and keep employment. Over the past few years, Stand Among Friends has placed more than 500 people in jobs. In 2006, Sean's organization joined forces with FAU's Christine E. Lynn College of Nursing to open the Disability Center here on campus. Among its other functions, the center is working with university personnel to provide job placement services for our own graduating seniors with disabilities. Sean has also served as chair for the Boca Raton Advisory Board for People with Disabilities for several years. In this role, he has helped the city develop plans for accessible housing, employment, and compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. You may have seen his award-winning television series, Life Without Limits, which is broadcast on the Palm Beach and Miami-Dade education networks and is also accessible online. Sean is a true hero, and we are so glad he has chosen to work with FAU in this very important field. I am so proud to present the President's Distinguished Service Medallion to Sean Friedkin.
Get my own podium. Just get situated here a minute. Thank you. Thank you, President Saunders, for this prestigious honor. I'm definitely humbled that you've chosen me to receive the Florida Atlantic University's President's Distinguished Service Medallion. As I sit before you, I can't help but reflect on the events that brought me here today. On March 12, 1992, 2 weeks before my 28th birthday, I awoke as on any other weekday and went about my daily routine. As I headed down to my job in Miami, my car skidded off the highway and rolled over several times. When I woke up in the emergency room, I couldn't feel my legs. That was the beginning of my life as a member of the disabled community. I spent the next 3 months in the hospital, and that period was a real roller coaster of highs and lows. I remember that I couldn't wait to go home, and how important it was for me to get back to my life I had known, to my job, my wife, and my 2-year-old daughter. Little did I know how much my life had changed. You see, it wasn't just that I wasn't able to walk. It was that the life I had known, that I had worked hard to achieve, was no longer there. I went from being about 6 feet tall to now sitting in a wheelchair. I had to learn how to be me all over again. It took some shock treatment from my wife for me to get my bearings. One night, when we went out to dinner, I rolled into the restaurant behind her as she spoke to the host about getting a table. When he asked her, will he be staying in his wheelchair, or does he want to use one of our chairs, she replied by saying, he's right there. Why don't you ask him yourself? Apparently, I had succeeded in making myself almost invisible. When we got home that night, my wife and I had a real heart-to-heart, and I remember her saying, "When did you become such a sissy?" I cleaned it up a little bit. She's over there shaking. She's not going to say that. You never used to be like that before your accident. Wow. Talk about a punch to the gut. But the more I thought about what she said, the more I realized that I was still me, just in a wheelchair. At that very moment, I decided that the wheelchair wasn't going to define who I was, and I was going to use what had happened to me as an opportunity to change the status quo for all people with disabilities. In 1997, a little more than 5 years after my accident, I created the nonprofit organization Stand Among Friends to pursue that mission. I realized that even though I had a horrible accident and ended up paralyzed from the chest down, I was very lucky in so many ways. I was married, had my own family, had strong support from my family and friends, and had been able to get my education. In the 5 years since my accident, I have met many people with disabilities who weren't as fortunate as I, and I wanted to do whatever I could to help them. We started out at Stand Among Friends supporting other programs for people living with disabilities, but the harder we looked, the more we realized that there were huge gaps in what was available. That's when I knew we needed to develop a resource center that could serve as a real home for people living with disabilities. In January of 2006, we partnered with FAU and opened the doors to the Disability Center located in the Christine E. Lynn College of Nursing here in Boca Raton. The center serves as the permanent home of Stand Among Friends and provides a platform where the dream is becoming a reality every day. The partnership between Stand Among Friends and FAU has allowed us to make disability issues a priority and to develop innovative programs within the university and our community at large. In 2008, we launched our employment program, which focuses on helping FAU graduates and other adults with disabilities to prepare for, find, and maintain jobs. This program, unlike any other in the country, has developed unique approaches to help those individuals launch their careers. Another groundbreaking initiative is our Assisted Technology Laboratory, where we've partnered with the College of Engineering and Computer Science to develop devices designed to help people with disabilities compete in the workplace and gain the everyday independence that so many able-bodied individuals take for granted. I recently saw the ideas of some engineering students get transformed into working prototypes of truly innovative and groundbreaking devices that will undoubtedly improve the independence of people living and working with disabilities. This March will mark the 20th anniversary of my accident. And as I take a moment to reflect on what this day means to me, I have to ask myself, how was I able to press on in spite of an overwhelming, life-changing event? And more importantly, what message can I convey that might one day make a difference in your life? I have to go all the way back to my upbringing and a line that my parents would repeat and repeat and repeat whenever my two sisters or I would proclaim that we can't do something. Without skipping a beat, they would always say, "Can't went to won't's funeral." As a little kid, I had absolutely no idea what that meant. Can't went to won't's funeral. Regardless of whether I understood the literal meaning of the phrase, I definitely understood a few things. I understood that saying I can't do something isn't a good thing. I understood that I needed to ask myself how I knew that I couldn't do something if I wasn't even willing to try. And finally, I understood that if I was determined to do something, I needed to believe that I could do it. I can tell you firsthand that life isn't always easy, that sometimes the odds seem insurmountable and the chances of success seem elusive at best. But without a doubt, if you tell yourself that you can't succeed, then the only thing you will succeed at is not succeeding. Learning how to live life in a wheelchair was, and still to this day, is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But my belief in myself and my attitude that I can succeed have gotten me through some very tough times. So my advice to you is the next time you're faced with a difficult task, whether it's something big or small, pause for a few seconds and remember that Camp went to Wong's funeral. Camp went to Wong's funeral. Congratulations to all the graduates and families on reaching this milestone. And I'd like to again thank President Saunders and FAU for this wonderful honor.